I don't think I would be as anxious as I was if it wasn't for the food that I consume. Trusting yourself that you can get back to being healthy, but know that maybe it will come back at one point, is the number one rule within binge eating for me, I think. Tell me why it hits at like 8 p.m. and I think the world is crashing around me. It's anxiety to the point where I'm shivering in bed. I'm like, I'm so anxious right now. I'm cold, I'm freezing. Hello guys, welcome back. I have chatted to a few of you on live and I literally adore every one of you and genuinely am so grateful for everyone. I just feel like we all have the same vibe and we're literally the same person. We can resonate with absolutely everything that we struggle with, which is great, and I just appreciate you guys. So that was all I needed to say at the beginning. I spoke to a few of you and it opened my eyes because recently I have had the worst night experiences, as in like at nighttime I can't sleep, I have really bad anxiety, and it often comes at nighttime. I'm an anxious person anyway, I hold my hands up to that, right? But I'm also aware that anxiety comes in waves, and lately it's been super bad. And what I will say that I've recognized is there's a link between my diet and my anxiety being mental health. So a link between my food and my mental health. And as we all know, I've spoken about binge eating, but what I eat in excess is not good foods. I don't eat good foods. The thought of healthy foods at the moment make me feel ill. I'm really struggling to consume good foods at the moment, and the way that I linked bad foods and anxiety together was obviously noticing that I'd got more anxious, but noticing that my diet had slipped dramatically. And I can only compare that because in the summer I was eating really well, I was exercising loads, I was training for a half marathon, so I was really active as well, which also is another part. But the food is a main thing. Because I was active, I was eating healthy, and because I'm not active now, I'm not eating healthy, and because I'm going through emotional problems within my life, I'm eating like crap. So I'm noticing like that is a link. But what is the worst of this all is the nighttime and struggling to sleep, and it hits about 8 p.m. 6 to 8 p.m. is when my anxiety skyrockets. And I don't know if it's because like maybe like it's sometimes I'm alone, sometimes it's dark outside, like that has a factor of it, sure, but it's like I'm having a panic attack and dying. Like it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm just anxious tonight. I'm spiraling. I'm literally spiraling of the worst case scenarios all the time. And because I'm so anxious, I won't necessarily eat when I'm like that, but I'll think of food at the same time. But sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It really depends on if the anxiety is making me feel sick or not. But 9 times out of 10, I feel really sick when I'm anxious and I need to be alone. But why? Tell me why it hits at like 8 p.m. and I think the world is crashing around me, and I don't know what to do with myself. And it leads into my dreams. Something that's really helped me lately though with sleep is magnesium. Taking magnesium before I sleep and a chamomile tea has honestly helped me so much. And something else that's helped me recently is that obviously me and my boyfriend live together, and I used to share a bathroom with him, but we have a spare bathroom. I don't know why I never thought of this, but I had the idea the other day of buying all this new stuff. I went to Primark and I got all this like new nice bathroom stuff, and I just made it my own. And I think I really needed that because that's my time to chill, and that's my time to give myself the self-care, because it's within those moments in the evening where I'm like, let's just take a bath. I don't remember the last time I took a bath. It's so good for your anxiety, putting like nice salts in there or whatever. Don't remember last time I took a bath. Don't remember last time I just had time for myself and did stuff for myself. You okay? She's trying to get in there. No pickles, we're going to be social. So yeah, I don't remember the last time I did stuff for myself in that aspect. And just having your own space is really nice. And I've just made this room my own as well, like the girl math vibes. Obviously it's all pink. I bought myself some new pajamas, so like I'm hoping on the outside in, like, that's small things that have helped me just feel better about me and sleeping and trying to make sleeping a good thing rather than a bad thing, because I do think that recently sleeping has been a really difficult thing for me. So yeah, let's get into it. So we'll start off with like what I eat in a day, typically what I consume. So I'll wake up and the first thing obviously I think about is food, but it really, really depends. But on a day-to-day average, I'll start off the day quite well, but straight after, so I'll have avocado on toast with sausages or eggs, whatever it is, with broccoli, like something really healthy. Straight after, I'll go into chocolate, biscuits, because I'm like, I need to reward myself because I've just eaten really healthy. And that will then spiral into the whole day, where then I will eat nothing but bad foods. And as the day progresses, I get more anxious, and then I feel more sick. And then I think the idea of thinking of foods that could potentially give me food poisoning or anything remotely making me feel ill or have the potential to make me feel ill, I won't eat, and I can't hack it. And I will then just eat nothing but sugary foods, which will raise my blood pressure, which will raise my anxiety, and then I can't go to sleep, and then I'm spiraling, and then it's just a whole loop again. So I'm understanding the cycle, but I don't have the self-discipline to not eat the bad foods straight after in the morning. So I'm noticing that, you know, the way that I could probably help myself right now is eating healthy and then not going straight to the bad food straight after. But I'm the type of person, I need a sweet snack after I have my main meal. I don't understand people that just have a main meal and don't want anything sweet after. I'm just that type of person. Like, so I really need to figure that out. And the whole day I say to myself, I'm going to go on a run, I'm going to do some exercise, I'm going to do something. And it gets to the point of the day and I'm exhausted. I'm genuinely so tired. I don't know what is wrong with me. It's not mentally, I'm physically tired. And is it because I'm not getting enough exercise? I don't know. What is it? Because it's starting to worry me. I'm starting to worry about my health, and maybe that's why I can't sleep properly. But it's like I have potential answers, but the thought of exercising and going on a run gives me anxiety. Everything literally gives me anxiety right now. And I'm gonna sound so stupid for saying it, I guess, but it just does, and that's what's holding me back. And it's nothing to do with I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm that. Like, yeah, probably I can't be asked to exercise most of the time, but 90% of the time it's because I'm too anxious. And what are you anxious about, Corey? I couldn't tell you. But what I am anxious about, and what I know I'm anxious about, is something that's going to sound stupid, which is why I say I don't know. But deep down, it's because I think I'm going to die. Like, I think I'm going to go out there and I'm going to throw up. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to just die on the floor. And no one's going to be with me. Like, that sounds so ridiculous when I say it out loud. But there's something about being alone and being outside terrifies me. And I don't know if it's because I live in a city and it's busy and I have social anxiety, so the thought of having other people around me witnessing me falling over or whatever scares the crap out of me, right? So I don't know how to overcome this. I don't have the solution. I don't have the answer. The only thing I can think of is exposure therapy, if I actually just go and do it. But I'm not confident enough right now to do that. And I know that sounds stupid because I used to literally run 10 kilometers like 3 times a week, like crazy amounts last summer. And I would say that was when my anxiety mental health was the best, but I was probably the most low that I'd been, but also high. I don't know, it was a bit confusing. But for the majority, I wasn't that anxious. And I can't pinpoint what it is. I think I just see it as a whole. I see it as it's probably the diet, it's probably the exercise, it's probably the endorphins, it's probably just getting out the house, it's probably summer, it's probably the nice weather, which is another thing. Being in London, it's so depressing. And I don't know about where you guys live. Obviously, I know a lot of you live in Canada or America. I've heard Bulgaria. I'm not quite sure what the weather's like there, but obviously it's winter time in the UK and it gets dark at like 4 p.m. So it is quite depressing a lot of the time, and a lot of people are quite like down. And so yeah, I don't know, that could be a big part of it as well. But for the majority, it's the nighttime that affects me. And because I've always suffered with anxiety, I always heard people mention I get anxious at nighttime, which is pretty self-explanatory, right? I feel like getting anxious at nighttime is pretty normal. But because it's coming from someone that I've always been anxious in the day, whatever time, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, I'm always anxious. But lately I've noticed it's at nighttime, and I know that that's a very common thing, but it's like anxiety on another level. It's anxiety to the point where I'm shivering in bed, I'm shaking, I'm almost like convulsing, because I'm so anxious right now. I'm cold, I'm freezing, I'm not even like sweating, I'm just like freezing, and I just want to be alone. And I don't know, the things that's helping me are my pets, to be honest with you. Like, they calm me down, or watching my favorite YouTubers like Daz Games. He honestly gets me through, because I know what to expect when I watch Daz Games, right? I know it's pretty like a niche thing to like, but Daz Games, since I was so young, has got me through so much, because I expect to just be laughing all the time, because Daz Games does nothing but positive vibes. There's nothing bad about Daz Games. And I guess having something that is predictable, maybe this podcast is something that helps you, I don't know, I'd hope. But something that's predictable is always a very comforting thing. So having that can help you. But yeah, pets, predictability, and just comfort in knowing that it's not busy where you are, being in your own environment. I cannot stand being anxious and being in public. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I went to a boxing event last minute. It was my friend fighting, and you know what? I'd had this whole spiral of being anxious at nighttime, and I was like, the last thing I want to do is go out. The last thing I want to do is go out into London. But I was like, you know what? Exposure therapy. Let's just try it. Push ourselves. It's not that far away. So, I just went, and I got there, and I did feel really spaced out, and I did feel horrible. I didn't feel in my own body. And I'm being anxious about passing out. I'm being anxious about things I can't control. And it tells my brain that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And then it just spirals. And then you're just in public. You're like, I just want to be at home in my bed. And I just pushed myself to do it. And I'm so glad I did, because it was just a good night in the end. But what I'm getting to is it's always nighttime. And I do think it's the darkness. I do think it's the weather. I do think it's the fact that I live in a city as well. But primarily, I think it's to do with my diet. I don't think I would be as anxious as I was if it wasn't for the food that I consume, because I would say my diet is predominantly 70% bad foods. I'm going to label it bad foods, okay, just for this podcast. But 70% bad foods, 30% good. And that is not okay for me personally, because I'm noticing how it's affecting me. But lately I have found comfort in indulging in those things, you know what I mean? So I'm telling myself it is okay, but I don't know if that is okay to tell myself it's okay, which is why now I'm like, I don't know if it is okay. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I do think that I'm enjoying finding peace in just being in this phase of my life right now. Because I said in my last podcast that you go through phases. Everything is a phase. So don't stress out if you think, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this, I feel so guilty. But just know you're always going to bounce back. You have to be able to trust yourself. Learning to trust yourself is the number one rule within binge eating for me, I think, is trusting yourself that you can get back to being healthy, but know that maybe it will come back at one point. But know in yourself that you can get back to where you were in a good place, because with binge eating, it comes in cycles. There's always bad that comes with good. We wouldn't have any good if it wasn't for bad. So just know that it is just a part of life, just to get through it. And we're all in this together, honestly. Like, you have this podcast, you have me, you have people in the comments. I want you all to like rant as much as you want, say as much as you want in the comments, because I want you guys to feel like you're heard. I want you guys to think that, know that you're not alone. And it's a horrible, terrifying thing, especially you might live alone, you might be with a partner. I can't speak for really living alone as much. I used to live alone and I hated it, but I got through it somehow. And a part of me thinks maybe if I did live alone, I'd be able to handle a lot more, and I wouldn't be as anxious because I wouldn't be relying on other people. Because in my head, I'm like, if this happens, at least I got my boyfriend. If that happens, at least I got my boyfriend. But I'm now putting myself in a position where, what if I was on my own? Would I be able to do that? And that goes back to trusting yourself. And I don't think I fully trust myself enough, which is why I fall back into these cycles and have these spirals, because I'm like, I don't know if I can get out of it. I don't know if I have the strength to actually get through this. I don't know if I can ever run again. And that's me telling myself I can't do something when you can. You literally have the ability and you can. And you just have to think back to a point where you proved yourself wrong. The point where I proved myself wrong is where I ran a half marathon out of nowhere, and I wasn't a runner myself. I'm so unfit, and I did it. And it made me think, like, damn, like, anyone can actually do this that has legs, lungs, and a brain. Like, you literally can do anything you put your mind to, and you need to do more stuff that's going to make you get out of your comfort zone and prove yourself wrong. And I know they're two very generic pieces of advice, but for me, that's what's worked and got me out of binge cycles. But predominantly at nighttime, the things I said earlier about getting pajamas, getting your own space, having your own bathroom, or just having your own space and having your things that help you, your favorite YouTuber, are coping mechanisms. And I think when you're going through this, the only thing that you can do is cope, because you don't have the solution right now. You might not have the resources to get therapy. You might not have the friends to lean on or the family to lean on. And the only thing you can do is find your own comfort in your coping mechanisms and trusting yourself. And it's actually a good thing if you can't rely on other people. And I know that's going to sound crazy, but if you feel totally alone in this, just know it's making you stronger, and it's making you trust yourself even more. And you'll get out of it in a few years' time, in a few months' time, or however long, and you'll be like, damn, I did that, and I didn't have to rely on anyone else, and I know that I can get through anything now. And as much as you might feel like, oh, I'm so sad because I don't have anyone to lean on and I feel so alone, this podcast is gonna make you not feel alone, for one. And two, you always have me to message if you need me. And three, you've got this in the bag. Like, you genuinely have this down to a T. You just don't quite know it yet, and you will in a few months or a few years when you've overcome this. I just want you to know that, because I think trusting yourself is the number one thing for anxiety and binge eating cycles. But I want to obviously touch more on like the nightmare stuff. I never really have many nightmares. I don't often remember my dreams, but lately I've had traumatic dreams that have come back up into my life, like stuff I've been through, which is also very interesting. But since taking magnesium, it's just knocked me out, and I don't wake up in the middle of the night. The only time I didn't take magnesium was yesterday, and I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and I was like panicking. And something that my boyfriend does at nighttime is he watches the TV and he falls asleep to the TV, so there's always like noise in the background. But for me, I don't know if that helps me, because I'll always wake up to sounds, and then I wake up and I'm flustered. I'm like, what's happening? And I wake up in like a weird point in my cycle. So, you know, you have like REM cycles in your sleep. You can search it up. I'll probably do more research on it another time, but you have different points within your sleep, different cycles. And I think within like the first 2 hours, in the first hour, I'm too deep of a sleep. I think it was like 40 minutes, but between 40 minutes to an hour, I'm so deep in a sleep or getting to sleep that I wake up and I'm in a panic. And I wonder why I'm panicking, and then I can't sleep for ages, and then I'm in this weird like lucid dream thing where I'm like drifting off to sleep and like waking up, and it's weird and I hate it. And I think that's partly to do with the TV, but I also think that's partly to do with the fact that I'm super anxious and I can't sleep properly. So magnesium is the solution. I'm telling you, get some off Amazon. I'll link some below that I use. But yeah, didn't want to get too deep into that, but I also think that waking up at certain points of the night and when you go to sleep is so important to know, because I can't fall asleep until about 12 a.m, 11 to 12, maybe 1. I'm quite a late person, and I get up at like 9 a.m. most days, so I do have interrupted sleep for the most part, but I also sleep for ages. And I'm also very, very tired in the day recently. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking there because I have gone on for a little while, but I hope you guys are okay, and I kind of don't hope you resonate with this because it's so awful, but I hope you do at the same time because I don't want you to feel alone. It's a really like bittersweet feeling. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and make sure to message me, Corey Blonde, on Instagram, or the Girl Math Pod on Instagram, and I will get back to you, or comment below. I'm more active in the comments, to be honest with you. And yeah, I'll see you next Sunday for an episode.